Hello everyone and welcome back to another Valheim video. Today I'm going to be showing you the 4 best weapons in my opinion that are in the game as of right now. I have 4 weapons up the top that I have picked that I think are the best. So that is the Porcupine, the Blackmail Sword, the Frostner Mace, and the Silver Sword, which is end game. These two here, very end game. These two here are quite early end game, if you will. I'm just going to show you the little damage output on each of these weapons, and then I'm going to show you them on a training dummy, and then something that I consider quite tough to beat in the game. So yeah, we're going to be starting off with the Frostner, which is my favourite, which I already have equipped. But yeah, we're just going to show you the damage numbers. Right, so this here is a training dummy. It has no purpose. I've put ghost mode on as well, just in case anything does try and attack me, but this won't because it's a training dummy, and you can spawn this in using these spawn codes in one of my previous videos. It doesn't attack. All it does is just sit there and get ready to be hit, basically. It's just like a big punching bag. So we're going to try to test the numbers out on these, and then we're going to test them out on a different creature as well, just so they're different numbers. I will say though, the Silver Sword and the Frostner will do extra spirit damage because it's an undead. The dummy itself is an undead, and it'll also do it to skeletons and other undead creatures like blobs and bone mass and dragas and stuff. So these two will have a little bit of advantage, but that's why they're my favourite. But they won't do as well as the Porcupine and the Black Metal against alive monsters, basically. But let's just show you the numbers. So I'm going to do the 3 normal attacks and then the special attack after, just to get the numbers. So 173 first hit, 93 second hit, and 112 I think that was last hit. My numbers do vary very badly. So as you can say, it's taking ticking of 4.2 health every second. Well, not even every second, every millisecond I think it was. And the numbers obviously do change depending on, and they will change depending on how high your weapon skill is as well. So it will be higher different. So this is the 132, 162, 146, 128. So it does an average, I'd say, about 150 points of damage per heavy attack, and at about 100 points per hit. So there was 62 and 62, which was quite rubbish really. No, it's just as bad. So I'd say about, on an average swing for the Frost Knight is about 100 points of damage, and this is against a undead opponent, and then 150 points of damage per heavy attack as well. So not a lot of change there. So we're going to go move on to the Silver Sword. So this is what this does. My sword skill isn't up at all. My sword skill is really low. So my swords are going to be definitely going to be worse than the clubs anyway. It's about the same as the Frostner there. Oh, that was really low. That was lower than the Frostner. That was lower again. That was quite bad, to be fair. So 164 we got top there on an average of 100. So that's quite bad. 160 there. So it's getting a little bit better. But that will be just because my mace skill is a lot higher than the sword skill as well, so you've got to take that into account. So 97, 174. So it does vary quite badly, to be fair. And I'm not going to say that the sword is probably worse than the Frost Knight, but that's because, and that's not just because my mace skill is up higher than that as well. I prefer the Frost Knight over the sword, but that's just me. So let's go on to the Porcupine, which is the needle mace. So on average swing, as without the big ending, was 71. The big swing at the end kind of averaged out at 120, which is considerably worse than the Frostner. Let's try the heavy attack. Oh, that was a big one. Wow. Right, well I'm going to give it to the Porcupine for heavy attack on that one. 3 damage of 200 plus. 200 on average. I'd say about a good average of 175 on heavy attack for the Porcupine. For the Frostner on random, the normal click attack is better, but the heavy attack is a little bit worse than the Porcupine, so that's quite surprised me, to be fair. And considering it has no tick over as well, it's quite good. So now we'll move on to the Blackmail Sword, which I don't expect to perform better than the rest because the rest are quite in-game items. So that's considerably lower than the Silver Sword. Although the heavy attack is slightly better. So although they're special, what, I don't know where it drops. Oh. So although they're special, the Frostner and the Silver, they apply the Spirit Tick over time. The Porcupine and the Blackmail Sword both have a better heavy attack than both of them as well. But they just have a slower, less hitting normal click attack, which has surprised me because I would have thought that the specials would have, but then I suppose they do have tick over time. So, but yeah, now we're going to be moving on to real creatures, or yeah. So I'm going to be spawning in the Fen Rings. They have quite a good amount of health and they're quite tough to beat. I just test this out just a minute ago and you'll be surprised with the results. So we're spawning 4 because we've got 4, so we're spawning Fen Ring 4. Alright, so let's just wait for him to scatter out a bit before I hit him. I'm going to be testing at least 4 and I'm going to do another 4 after, just for the heavy attacks. So. Wow. So 3 hits gone Fen Ring. Silver Sword. That was on the Frostner. So Silver Sword now. 2, 3. Oh. Wow. So the Silver Sword is worse than the Frostner for Fen Rings. Let's move on to the Porcupine, which is one of a mace that I like. 1, 2. 2 hits. 2 hits, but I don't know whether it's staggered that 2. So wow, he staggered it, 2-hitted, kill it. 2-hitted, killed it, which is surprising for me. So let's move on to the Blackmail Sword. 3 hits for the Blackmail Sword, and that staggered that 2. So overall, I would say that the Porcupine was better than the Frostner. The Frostner was better than the Blackmail, and the Blackmail was better than the Silver. So the Silver Sword lost that round. So we had 1 for the Frostner and Silver Sword, and now we have 1 for the Porcupine, and the rest are failing. So the one that hasn't won anything yet is the Blackmail Sword, bless it. But then I will say, but it's because my mace skill is probably higher than the sword skill, that the Blackmail Sword is quite failing at the moment. But we're going to try that again with the 4 Fen Rings, but with special attacks only. So here's one. 1 hit, 475. That's mad. That is ridiculous levels. 452 on the Silver Sword. Wow, wow, wow. So we're going to go Porcupine now. 479. 515. Finally, the Blackmail Sword. Finally, the Blackmail Sword pulled one out of the bag. Right, so the damage numbers there were, all of them on average was either 400 plus. I think the Frostner leveled out at 415. The Silver Sword leveled out at about 430, I think it was. The Porcupine was 475, and then the Blackmail Sword was 500 plus. So the Blackmail Sword 1 hit they all one hit, but the Blackmail Sword just completely obliterated it with 500 on one single heavy attack, which was mind-boggling because it didn't actually work out the same way last time, but oh well. So yeah, I would say these are the 4 best weapons in Valheim that are currently in the game and you can get your hands on without cheating. Like I said, the Frost Knight is my one favourite weapon in the game. I will probably not change it other than for the Porcupine, but that's because one's for undead and one's not. My blunt skill is considerably higher than my sword skill anyway, so I just prefer blunt weapons. The Blackmail Sword is everyone's go-to weapon. I've seen many people use the Blackmail Sword, but I just don't like the swords, unfortunately. Plus the Frost Knight looks like a frosty Mjolnir anyway, so that's why I use it. The Silver Sword's good for undead opponents, so if you're up against skeletons, draugrs, fenrings, anything like that, the Silver Sword would be better for it in my opinion because it does the spirit damage to them. Just know this though, the spirit damage does happen to the living opponents, but just really resistant to it, so you probably get like 1 tick instead of the 4 that you get for the undead that we saw there. I'm not going to spawn in any skeletons or anything because they're so weak. They're just going to be hit like once or twice and they'll be dead anyway. But this is not my cheated character either. This is my original grafted grinding character. So it's not like I've put my levels up, because as you can see my levels are all different. So the ones that I haven't used and stuff. So yeah, I've not cheated or anything. This is what you get for my character. It's gone really dark. What the hell? But yeah, these are the 4 weapons. So we got the Porcupine, and these are all level 4 as well, so they're all max upgraded. So you got the Porcupine, the Blackmail Sword, the Frostner, and then the Silver Sword. They are my 4 picks for best weapons. I will do another video that has the 2-handed weapons, but only there's a few of them, which is the Attiger, or whatever it's called, the Iron Hammer, and the Battle Axe, or the War Axe, I think it's called. But yeah, I'll do a separate 2-handed video next time. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you got a little bit of lesson learnt out of it, that what the best kind of weapons are in the game that you should be aiming for. Not a lot of people know that the spirit is for the undead, and the undead are weak against silver or silver weapons. So you just bear that in mind if you are going for the undead creatures and things, because the silver would be considerably better against them, especially against bone mass. If you have been able to get, you shouldn't have Frost Knight or any silver weapons before bone mass, but if someone does give you on the server, then I would go for the Frost Knight and the silver weapons over bone mass, because for 1 he's undead and 2 he is weak to blunt weapons anyway. So the Frost Knight is main weapon of choice, or any sort of main weapon of choice for bone mass. But yeah, that's about it. I'm going to do a 2-handed weapons video next time, and I hope this helped you. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because I do need them subscribers, please. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.